Disconnect. Which was teachable anime.
What kind of establishment? There was a sign with a picture of a bird and an apron on it. Dai decided to go into the room. Maybe he could rent a room there. Daya was met by a long-haired girl in a dress. She smiled and said that she was glad to see a guest in this institution. Maybe he wants to stay here for the night. Dai opened his mouth, drooling. Dai blushed and approached Daya's face. Did he print? Oh. Dai. Fine alone. Dai unfolded the paper, and there was a sandwich in front of him. Gollum thought it was amazing. Natasha stood in front of Dai, and Gollum stood behind her and watched them angrily. Dai remembered the look on Milky's face. Dai sat in the window and pondered that the relationship with Natasha had been recognized by her husband. Now, strange noises out of surprise. Marco raised his hand and said that the potion he gave Milky was an aphrodisiac. Marco reached out to Milka and said that Milka wasn't ready yet, but she would feel much better soon. Milka sat in silence. Marco was annoyed by this, and he shouted that she should stop resisting. Milky was covered in sweat and thought that she couldn't hold back for long. She wanted to be saved. Marco looked fearfully in the direction where Dai appeared. He said that everything would end now. Marco was wary, and Milka shouted Daya's name. Milka's face began to shine with joy. She saw Daya smiling and thought that this was her prince. She believed that he would save her. Marco compared to Daya as just a child who thinks only of himself. Milky was sitting on a wooden chair, wearing only a nightgown with thin straps. Milka's face was red, and one of them was adjusting the fallen strap of her nightgown with her hand. Dai went into the room where the guys were. Then he said that Marco should let Milky go. If he did her something. Marco stood there and was angry. A moment later, Milky found herself in Daya's arms. Dai thought with a smile that he was running some kind of princess rescue marathon. Then Milky took Daya's head in her hands and kissed him. Dai was surprised to think that this kiss was dedicated to salvation. Dai pushed Milky away from him. He looked at her face. Hearts appeared in her eyes. Then Milky abruptly took off Daya's pants. He was stunned by what was happening. Dai was standing without trousers. Milka sat down in front of him and touched his body with her mouth. Marco was watching everything from the side. He still couldn't move. Dai looked at Milky in surprise and asked her to stop. The girl did not listen to Dai. Dai stood there, tears welling up from his eyes. He could hear the strange sounds that Milka was making. Marco said it couldn't be true. There was grass growing in front of the abandoned house. Marco started screaming so hard that he could be heard on the street. He screamed that he was begging Milky to forgive him and she should stop doing it. The guys ended up in a diner. Milky hugged Natasha, who was glad to see her daughter back. Milka's father was standing behind the girls. Then Milky went to her father and kissed him on the cheek. He nervously lowered his head and said that he was asking her forgiveness for not saving Milky. Dai was watching what was happening. He was sitting on a chair and put his hands behind his head. There were a lot of different dishes on the table in front of the guys. There was also a bread plate and a jug of drink on the table. Milka's father bent down and started shouting that he was infinitely grateful to the guys for saving his daughter. From now on, the guys can stay at the hotel for free. Dai and Chris held cutlery in their hands and were ready to start the meal. Dai raised his hand and smiled. Then he said that he had nothing to worry about. To Dai, and said that how did Dai know about the attic? Dai replied that Mr. Gollum had told him about it. Milky stood next to Dai, and he looked at her in surprise. Milky looked at the sunset and was touched. Dai said he was sorry. He was behaving the same way as Marco. Milky didn't understand what Dai was talking about. Milky looked at Daya. Then she put her hands on the window and said that she and the girls get happier when they do it with Daya. He has nothing to worry about. Dai thanked Milka for her honesty. 2 white birds landed on the roof. Milky asked Daya if he had a dream. Dai put his finger to his chin and said that he wanted to build a country and become king in it. Dai nervously continued to say that in this country, women and men will be equal and happy. Milky blushed and said she was going to be a queen. Dai thoughtfully replied that he needed to train more. Milky started laughing. Milky looked at Dai and said with a smile on her face that Dai was strange. Sometimes she thought she was talking to an adult. Dai blushed and looked at Milky with a nervous smile. Dai scratched his head. Milky replied that she liked this trait in Daya. Dai remembered himself from the past and thought that men and women should respect each other. The sun was rising. Dai said that he would leave this city soon. Milky looked at Daya and said that he would take her with him because she was his girlfriend. To them now. Daikichi was scared and thought that it was very creepy, and really Milky could be so scary. Chris tensed up at that moment too, but didn't say anything. Daikichi stroked the elf's head and thought that he didn't understand why she was so angry. Then Chris told Leal not to worry, because their body and soul belong only to the master. The first time it will hurt a little, but then the thunderous love of their master will pierce into the depths of the girl, like a mountain range, and she will immediately forget this pain. Lil listened attentively to Chris's speech, and then got scared. She imagined how it would be, and tears began to come to her eyes. After a while, Daikichi and Milky came to Mary's guild. Marie looked very tense and was shaking with anger. Daikichi and Milky didn't understand what was going on. Marie said she was very jealous of the guys, and it looked like they were having a good time together today. The girl apply hypnosis. Now everything has become clear. Daikichi said they could wait outside. He would catch up with them as soon as he came to his senses.
Ready.
Marie said it was dangerous. She would stay with him.
Another damage. We'll do it right here. Well, I will see you in the morning. See you then.